there's this one new platform that's betting on the complete opposite, being exclusive. It's called DreamPage, and their whole goal isn't to get bigger, but to get better. So let's break down how they're trying to build this safe haven for quality storytelling. So this is the core belief that's driving the entire project. The idea that, these fictional adventures, they provide the good words that we all need to help build a good world. I mean, think about that for a second. It's not just about entertainment. They see themselves as a force for positive change. That's a pretty ambitious goal, right? Okay, so what does that actually look like? Well, they see their mission as this three-step cycle. It starts with dreams, which then turn into stories, and those stories, they're meant to create inspiration, which then turns into real-world action. So yeah, they're not just trying to be another reading app on your phone. They're aiming to be a creative catalyst, turning imagination into something real. So, what's their big selling point? Here it is. They are deliberately carving out a space for themselves as a safe, high-quality, family-friendly sanctuary. This is a direct shot at some of the other big platforms out there where, younger creators might stumble onto 18-plus content. DreamPage is basically building a walled garden, and they're doing it completely on purpose. All right, so you have to be wondering, who's the visionary behind all this? You're probably picturing some seasoned tech CEO, right? Well, the reality is a lot more surprising. Okay, get this. The founder of this premium, super selective platform is a ninth grade student. Seriously, a ninth grader. That contrast right there, it tells you everything you need to know. This isn't some project driven by venture capital money. It's fueled by pure passion. And don't think for a second that this is just some kid with a dream. The founder, Jaskarat, is a serious high achiever. Just look at these numbers. We're talking an academic average of over 87% and a 94 out of 100 in computer science. Wow. That's the kind of discipline and technical skill that's being poured into this platform. Okay, so that raises a big question. If it's run by such a young founder, how in the world does DreamPage keep that premium, high-quality feel? Well, it all comes down to this really rigorous system they've built. They call it the Elite Filtration System. And that really is the key question, isn't it? I mean, we live in a world of open access platforms where anyone can post anything. So how can one single place guarantee that everything on it is top tier? Well, their answer is pretty simple, a very high barrier to entry. 1 to 32. Let that sink in for a second. That's the ratio. For every 32 students who apply to become a writer on DreamPage, only one gets in. To put that into perspective for you, that is a lower acceptance rate than a lot of top-tier universities. They are not kidding around when they say they're exclusive. So how do they actually filter these applicants? It's a two-step process. First up, everyone, and I mean everyone, has to pass the DreamPage Standard Test, or the DPST. But get this, even passing that isn't enough for everyone. Some of the people who pass then have to move on to what they call Standard Imagination Training, or SIT. And what I find so fascinating here is that this imagination training isn't some kind of punishment for not being creative enough. Nope, it's a development tool. And the best part, it's not taught by adults. It's actually taught by senior student members, the ones who've been on the platform for over 6 months. They've literally built a peer-to-peer mentorship model right into their system. So this whole system, the tough selection process, the peer training, it all really boils down to one simple, powerful mantra. Quality over quantity. Simple, direct, and honestly pretty powerful. In an age of just infinite scrolling and endless content feeds, DreamPage is making this bold bet that better is, well, it's just better. And this statement right here, it just perfectly captures their commitment. Think about it. Even if there's only one story on the entire site, it has to be a masterpiece. That's an almost radical dedication to excellence, right? They would rather have one incredible story than 1,000 mediocre ones. And that, right there, is their promise to their readers. So it brings us back to this question. How does a ninth grader actually balance building this whole platform with all the demands of school? Well, the founder, Jaskarat, lives by a very specific personal rule. It's called the 70-30 rule, and it's pretty straightforward. School still comes first. That gets 70% of the focus. And then DreamPage gets a dedicated strategic 30%. I mean, for a high schooler to maintain that kind of disciplined focus on two huge priorities, that's basically a masterclass in time management. And look, that focus on academics isn't just talk. While already scoring a super impressive 87.32%, the goal is to push that even higher, to over 90%.
This just goes to show you that the discipline and the pursuit of excellence that's being applied to DreamPage, it's the exact same discipline being applied to their own education.
And so we really come full circle, right back to this one core idea: quality over quantity. It's so much more than just a tagline for the platform. It's clearly a personal philosophy for its founder. It applies to their stories, to their members, and even to how they spend their own time. It's the unifying thread that ties this whole venture together. So ultimately, DreamPage is a really bold experiment. It's a bet that in a world that is just drowning in content, people are starting to search for something different, for quiet excellence. And it leaves all of us with a really important question to think about. In this age of the infinite scroll, what is the real value of a single masterpiece?